Hello and welcome to today's historic Best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on Collected Company Rats, or, in reality, Rat Tribal with Collected Company to help sort of tie the whole thing together. Beyond the 4 copies of Collected Company, really fast, let's move that over here. Beyond the 4 copies of Collected Company as a nice little, like, a great, not even a little, a great glue piece for a tribe that doesn't get a whole lot of support. This helps to take rats from a like sort of bordering on meme tier to like middle tier deck into firmly a middle tier tribal list. But beyond Collect Company, we're just a rat tribal deck. We have cards that are rats, care about rats, are rats, or either honorary rats in the case of a Realm Walker. But yeah, basically rat cards that care about rats and buffing them. Well, this Nashi isn't one. It's just a good rat that lets you draw some cards. But most of the cards are rat cards that themselves that also care about rats, or are just cards that care about rats who might not be rats. For example, Valley Rot Caller is a new card that is not a rat himself, but cares about rats and is a Collected Company hit, so it's a pretty easy inclusion. Same with Piper of the Swarm. Not a rat himself, but cares about rats. Pretty good. And then you have cards that care about other rats who are rats themselves, like the new Persistent Marsh Stalker. And again, not to mention, all of the other cards are also rats that kind of care about rats in some degree. The only ones that aren't rats and don't care directly about rats are Birds of Paradise, but that's just a mana dork. That's useful, especially when we have a single or 2 copies of a card that uses blue mana. Birds of Paradise is useful for casting spells because it's a good mana dork. Also running 4 copies of Venerated Rot Priest. With the Rat King and the Rot Priest, you can actually like get a good amount of poison counter wins with this deck, which is a unique little aspect that only rats really get to sort of play around with, since if you don't, I mean, you won't see rats very often, but if you do see rats, they basically all have to work on some sort of Rat King toxic kind of angle, otherwise the deck just isn't quite good enough. So we take advantage of extra toxic generation where we can, and the Rot Priest is good for that. But beyond our rats and Collected Company cards, the land base, pretty self-explanatory. All of these are lands that can come into play untapped on turn 1, and if they have any sort of extra synergy, that's just great. Like a peat land can draw cards, Cavern of Souls can be fixing, of course, but can also prevent counter spells, or some of the more utility lands, like some Channel lands, or Hive, or Fel the Profane. Basically, lands that come into play untapped on turn 1 is what you want, and if you can get some extra mileage out of them through various utilities, then by all means, run them. You don't have to match exactly what my list has, but if you get close to it and keep that general idea in mind in your land base, you'll do fine. But beyond that, sideboard cards, as usual, are very typical Silver Bullet cards. Scavenging Ooze for Graveyard Hate, and if you need life gain, it can help. 3 copies of Tainted Remedy, because there are loads of life gain decks running around the format, which is a very popular, very strong, good deck, and you need, if you have access to life gain hate, you need to have it in your sideboard. 2 Crippling Fears as a sweeper that will only hit our rats, and since you will never really see rats ever, this is pretty much a one-sided sweeper. 3 copies of Assassin's Trophy, just a sort of catch-all removal card that we don't mind giving them a land for. A couple copies of Golgari Charm, usually brought in to regenerate our board in the case of like any sort of sweeper-heavy decks or more removal-heavy decks. Golgari Charm is good. But sometimes, because there are a charm, you can just use the other ability, and the opportunity cost to having a couple charms in your sideboard is very low. So that's why these are here. And the fact that they're uncommon is pretty good when compared to something like a heroic, whatever the heroic reinforcement is, the green one for 2 mana, that's a rare. This is actually arguably better. But anywho, a couple copies of Bogart Trawler, again, more Graveyard Hate if you need it, and because it is one of the Modern Horizons bolt lands, for lack of a better term, the opportunity cost to run them is very low. and a single Fade from history from the artifact and or enchantment heavy decks that happen to be floating around a format. Sometimes if you play a Fade from history and you sweep their board, you've basically won the game. So it's also in the sweeper category, just not a creature sweeper. And that's the simple basics of the list. We play rats, try and bonk our opponent's head, and if we can squeeze out some good value off a collected company, we take them. That's basic. That's all we have for the list. Sorry, the lawnmower outside is messing up my brain. But anywho, with that out of the way, don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future, and if you have any sort of questions like I don't have X, what about Y, or other nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. Thank you all so much for watching, and now we go on to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little collected company rats list. Go ahead and play first, because as always, we have a brain. Yeah, we'll keep that. It's good enough. Can't afford to be too terribly picky here. And hopefully we'll draw into something. If we don't, we're going to feel a little bad, but it's not an immediate loss. That counts. Of course, we will name the Cavern of Souls with Rat this time. If they don't block the Marsh Stalker, we can always ninjutsu and Nashi here, and well, or not. No, actually, I think we'll just play normal Nashi now. What is... Beginning of your upkeep, target creature card from a graveyard onto battlefield. Cool. I'll take the land. This would imply maybe some sort of reanimator. It's just a little weird. Anywho, guess we can play the Rat King first. See what we draw. All those will work. In that case, I think we'll play the Marsh Stalker, giving as little information as we can. Our opponent is certainly playing cards. Not entirely certain what they're going for, but... Ooh, I love this card. Man, I wish this card would see more play. And maybe in some sort of combo deck, you can actually argue that it's kind of good. What are they looking for? Oh well. I guess in the meantime we can do a Nashi. Maybe like a Rot Caller. And then start attacking. If they take the trade with Llanowar Elves, bulking like a Marsh Stalker, we're totally fine. And if they don't, they're just going to get chunked for a buttload. Okay. Ooh, pardon the yawn. I see they opted for the getting chunked for a buttload part. I guess the million-dollar question is, what do we do next turn? What? Target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker, greatest value. Cool. Then Nashi can go. I don't need that much. Their deck is weird. Like, fine. Whatever. Just weird. Okay, that makes me feel better. The cards weren't going to live anyway. Also name this one on Rat. We'll do a Realm Walker first and see if something on the top, also naming Rat, something on the top changes our game plan here. Piper of the Swarm's pretty good. Guess we start getting rid of removal spells. And just go face. Another good example of why Rot Caller, even though it isn't a rat itself, it does care about rats, and it does a nice little bit of reach that a deck like this can sometimes sort of lack. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell our opponent's doing. This would imply some sort of... Oh, you were just a weird elf list. Okay. Okay, that answers everything. Probably just going to bring in some sweepers. Yeah. Now that I know that, those are weird. They're very weird in here. Yeah. Just bring in a couple Crippling Fears. The scares aren't going to be that useful. Same thing with Nashi. We're not going to need to go forever. We're going to need to try and, like, run our opponent down, since assuming their next draw will be a little bit better. Elves are just a stronger tribe than rats are. They just are. Granted, our opponent might be running a weird sort of budget-friendly list, so that might even out what would normally be an unbalanced matchup. Ugh, pardon. But it could also be very wrong and would look very dumb in a minute. Who knows? Come on, opponent. Please be here. I kind of want to use this game's footage. Don't have a whole lot of time to record. Come on. Although, to be fair, in the defense of my opponent, I've had moments where, you know, I've made my sideboard plan or whatever, or if I don't feel like I need to, like, use the restroom or grab a drink or something, I have used the sideboarding phase to do that. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more understanding. Oh my god. I'm losing the battle. Although... Oh well, it's fine. What the hell? Sorry. Pardon, I heard a weird noise outside. Oh, I really hope our opponent's here. Anywho. We might actually... Okay, I actually might end up cutting the sideboarding phase if they're just going to be here for 2 minutes and doing nothing. Oh my god. Maybe not. Okay, gonna sound a little bit awkward. I do apologize. I was convinced that they were gonna run out the whole 2-minute clock, but hey, it's cool. We'll take it. I'm gonna keep this just because it has a crippling fear, and I feel like we might need it. I'm not in love with this hand. Less in love with it now. Although, I mean, removal's removal. It's nice. I see they also run very similar things in their own list. Might as well play an Overgrown Tomb tapped, since we're not really doing anything anyway. Ooh. What does this do when it hits again? I have this in my own version, I believe. Combat damage to player, choose one, draw, lose, destroy enchantment, 3 counters from target permanent. Cool. In the meantime, do a Cavern of Souls, naming rat. We'll do Nashi just because it's the biggest body, and there's also an opportunity that if we were to play the Rat King here, we could actually draw more than 7 cards and have to throw stuff away, and we don't want to do that. Just don't play a Lord and we'll be cool. I'm cool with that. Like, yeah, we're taking an absolute beating, and that's, like, not great. But we are alive. And this is going to sweep their board. Yeah, doing good enough. Just gotta get what we can get. Naming rats, everything that isn't a rat. Why is it giving me all the... whatever. Odd that it was giving all those choices. Okay, we'll see if we can pull this back now. We might not. They might just have like a very slow start game 1. I maintain this is cool, but like a little less cool in an elves list. But sure, that resolves, I suppose. Play a Beseju and a Rat King. Would love to... oh, well, we wouldn't even hit a rat... yeah, we wouldn't even hit what I was thinking of hitting anyway. Play a Marshstalker. I would love the Squirrel Boy, but I realize that it is in fact not a rat. It's a squirrel, which is different. Ugh. Oy boy. Oy vey, that's not good. What's the right play here? I can get rid of the shaman here. That might be the smartest option, unfortunately. It's not a very exciting play. We don't attack since we can't really afford to right now. Ooh, Patchwork Banner. Very nice. That almost certainly means we die. Unless they play something else. Not exactly dead, but we're very close to it. I think we have to draw exactly a sweeper. And that's not it? Hold on. This can actually keep us alive for a turn if we get enough hits. Yeah. Okay, we're not totally dead. Guess get rid of creatures, because we saw they have that, whatever the virtue of whatever it's called. I'm actually going to keep that for the removal spell. Keep getting rid of reanimation targets. We could potentially die here. It's not great, but we're not dead. We're not alive, which isn't great. No, block here. Block here. We're kind of okay. Okay. Gonna follow the Profane so we don't die. Play a Marstalker. Feel pretty good. Unbelievably, we're alive. Is that it? Oh, damn it. Okay. Well done by our opponent. And I believe I did talk about this loosely at some point during the game. This is one of those moments where, like, we're going to run it again. But, like, if we lose here, I mean, Elves is just a stronger tribe. It's got more support, it's more explosive, and they clearly just had, like, a weird draw game one. We will play first. But yeah, they had a weird draw game one, and game two, they very clearly, like, hit the ground running in a much more evident way. That's nice. Go ahead and play Birds of Paradise on one. They do run some single target removal, but anything, or if anything, the Rot Priestess is more of a body here. Perfectly fine. That's a fantastic draw. Guess we'll play the Mire. Playing a Marstalker, and then we'll play a Rot Priest. I didn't think about this, but I am summoning a large board that I might end up actually sweeping. Which isn't great. Sorry, what? That is an elf. Exiles card from hand. Sure, take the Marstalker. We don't love that it gets exiled, but... Okay, so this is like clearly like a more budget list, which is fine. Nothing like intrinsically wrong with that. I'm actually not gonna use the sweeper yet. Really? Okay. I'll get rid of the Mana Dork. Their board isn't big enough to where I think we need to like really immediately pull the trigger on the sweeper here. Or on a sweeper. That's fine. And another... Let me attack first. Do they block the Marstalker? They don't. Oh, well... That kind of stinks, but it's... I think we're still okay, weirdly. Patchwork Banner. Maybe if they play another creature off of this, then maybe we'll... Yeah, I think now we'll pull the trigger and go ahead and fire off the sweeper. We will go ahead and block if he attacks, which he should. Why is he not? Okay. Crippling Fear. Anything that is not a rat gets swept. Does mean we lose our Birds of Paradise, but now we have 4 lands, which is enough to cast anything in the deck that we would happen to draw off of the top. Piper of the Swarm, fantastic draw. And yeah, just keep going face. And now we can start slowly churning out black rat creature tokens. We're both top decking. Feeling pretty good. I still maintain that Elves, regardless of how this game might happen to go, I still do maintain that Elves is a stronger tribe in a vacuum. Okay, we'll take it. Yeah, I maintain that Elves are stronger in a vacuum, where I think I don't know if I've talked about this due to the weird erratic nature of recordings, but like Elves and Goblins are the 2 tribes that are really at the top and really, really good. And Rats sort of occupy a space like in a middle tier with like Merfolk and Spirits, where it's like, it's not top tier, but it's not a total beam like if you were trying to run Minotaurs or something. But like, it's not a bad deck, and it is fun. It is a very fun list. Granted, I'm a sucker for tribal lists that are somewhat aggressive, so I am a very biased source. But anywho, with all that out of the way, we'll go on now to game number 2. And game number 2 with our little collected company Rats list, and this is a perfectly fine hand. 3 lands, 4 spells, things to do. Annoyingly, unless we draw a green source, we might have to do a Cavern of Souls naming bird so we can actually play the Birds of Paradise on one. But when you have more than one, you can afford to not... Okay, we're at a squelch use there. When you have more than one, you don't have to have every single one all be for just the rats. I was trying to remember the name of the tribe. Play the Hive while it comes into play untapped, and I suppose we'll do a Lord Skitter. If it's mono white angels, there's usually a life-gainy theme to these things, which in pre-sideboarding games are going to be a little rough, but post-sideboarding games, as long as we find our what's it called? Playing a land. Actually, we won't be able to play Collected Company. Oh, I can. That's right, Birds of Paradise. Oh, my point was that as long as we find our Tainted Remedies, we have a chance of being okay. There's no world in which... guess we just pass. It's not great, but the only good attack, they can just single block if they wanted to, or double block and kill it, and nothing we collected company into will change that. And unfortunately, well, that's nice. Unfortunately, we're not the best suited. They're sort of popping off and doing what their deck wants to do, and we don't have the greatest amount of tools to deal with it. Get you to play land. Rock Collar can help to stabilize. Guess a Piper of the Swarm. Nothing else. We can attack with the Marsh Stalker to try and keep their life total down somewhat. Might not matter, but if we can keep it, the Righteous Valkyrie from being, like, turned on, quote-unquote, then we'll take that. Sorry. 7 cards of the library. X artifact and our creature cards, mana value 3 or less from among them onto battlefield. Rest on bottom in random order. A weird sort of mono-white collected company thing. Cool, I guess. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, okay, there's We could, in theory, keep going, but there's no way in a million years we're ever gonna beat that. We will bring in Tainted Remedies and some Assassin's Trophies and just hope that we do pretty good. Collected Companies, or I hope that we draw the cards and therefore can win a game. Collected Companies are going out since we're bringing in a lot of non-creatures anyway. Graveyard Hate isn't the most useful. And I guess a Rot Priest can go, since they're probably not going to run that much targeted removal anyway. But this is another one of those, like, you can make an argument that even Angels is... It's not quite... And like we talked about in the first game, playing first, you can make an argument that even Angels is a more supported tribe, but it's not, like, quite on the level of, like, Elves and, we'll keep this, of Elves and, like, Goblins. But the reason why they're good is because of the life gain synergy, not because of the Angel part of it, if that makes sense. So they're a good tribe, but not because the tribe receives support directly, but more so because of the... Pardon? But more so because of the life gain synergies that happen to be within it naturally. Guess we'll just play a Marstalker. Phyrexian threw me off. I was convinced they were an Angel list. I mean, if they do a whole lot of nothing burgers for several turns in a row. Actually, we're gonna do Realm Walker first. I actually don't want to, in theory, draw over a Tainted Remedy if we happen to find it. There's an argument that, like, if we get a board that goes wide enough, we just play the Rat King and hopefully, like, that'll... That's nice. And hopefully that'll get us, like, a poison kill, which would be nice, but it's not something you can really bank on. And luckily we can just start pulling things off the top until we find what we need. Our opponent has done nothing for a deck that should have been able to field something. The Sweeper. That kinda sucks, but I don't think I care. Do another Realm Walker. Again, naming Rat. Nah, she's nice, but we wouldn't be able to play that anyway. I actually think I value the removal spell more. Play the Birds of Paradise, so next turn, if nothing else, we can actually just play the Nashi. Maybe get an additional copy of one of the things in our graveyard, if necessary. That's why. Is it not an Angel? Oh no, it's just a Horror. It looks like an Angel, but it's not one. Okay. Damage we dealt to it, prevent the damage. Well, luckily it's not damage, it's just a destroy effect, so it doesn't matter. I mean, that's kind of cute, but like I thought they were like a mono white Angel list and just had some life gain stuff. But they're being like a little... Okay, they are. That's weird. They were being a little too cute for their own good. Go ahead and Assassin's Trophy, the Vindicator. Again, if we don't have to be afraid of it, I'm not gonna. Guess now we can play the Rat King, and if we draw over a Tainted Remedy, I don't think it's going to be as necessary this game. And we didn't, so that's good. Well, hopefully they'll block. Although they could have another Sweeper, and they just don't feel the need to block, which is possible. Approach... Okay, your deck is all over the place now. I thought I knew what I was going against, but now I just do not. Guess we can do a Nashi here. And then like a Pack Rat, and then we just go face. I don't... Unless they have a... Okay, if they have another... Approach of the Second Sun, then cool, we just lose. Okay, I was about to say, but it'd be very odd. But I could be wrong. Maybe they have it. That's fine. Paying ward cost. I think our plan remains the same of largely just keep bonking the face and, like, hopefully get a win. You might as well, yeah, attack with the Flying and Vigilance person. Old Giada here. Damn near free. Guess we'll use that naming Rat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I could get, what, 2 back? Oh, is my game... Really? The game's, like, locking up. Why? Okay. Well, I apologize. There we go. The game never does that. What do I have in here? No. Click the graveyard. A 3 and a 2. I guess we could do Aghanim Awakening X equals 3, I believe. Target any number of creature cards that have mana value 3 or less. 3s. Like a 2. Yeah. Okay. Passive aggressive. Yeah, that's what I thought. Keep getting chirpy, sir. I mean, I like our sideboard plan. I still think it remains the same. Yeah, just go face. I was gonna say they had like a pretty succinct little, or I did say that I thought they had a pretty like succinct little mono white angel-y thing, but like then they got weird and put weird shit in it. And while yes, there's still like a core of a mono white, hell yeah, Tainted Remedy opening hand and lands to cast it. We're keeping it. While their deck does have that mix of a life gain and an angel package. Playing a Rock Priest on 1. While it has a mix of those things, there's a whole lot of like weird, goofy shit in between that really shouldn't be there and didn't need to be. Because like you don't run an Approach of the Second Sun in a, at least you would imagine, in a like a budget version of a list. There are like better things you can do with your mana. Cavern of Souls, of course, in this case, naming Rat. Do the Marsh Stalker. Do have to be careful if you at home ever play any deck, not even necessarily this, but any deck that has a Tainted Remedy. Avoid the inclination to run more than one on the field at a time, because sometimes, you know, mass enchantment removal, while rare, will totally hose you. I've had to learn that one the hard way. Attack with a Marsh Stalker. If they take the trade, hell yeah. You also, there's even a world where we can get the Marsh Stalker back. The fuck is their list? Okay, fine. I mean, their list resolves. I guess we can play a Hive and a Birds of Paradise. I suppose we'll just crack a Clue. Just try and dig for the next Tainted Remedy. Which one is this again? Exile, okay. 4 mana, tap, exile this. Each player chooses 6 lands. Control, destroy all other stuff, sorcery, putting the exile from field, +2 library, but cool, I guess. Yeah, we don't really have a whole lot else we can do. We can turn on the Hive, if nothing else, and start bonking that way. Get rid of a creature. There's a world in which you can get creatures back. That is a card. Go ahead and play the Tomb. In this case, we'll just fell the Profane down the Giada. Sadly, we're not... We're not progressing the board, but I think we're okay. We're in an okay spot anyway. Because neither are they. Yeah. Luckily, I wasn't going to be able to do much next turn anyway. Okay, Pack Rat helps. That is a card. A card that does things. If they activate the Silex, I guess the destroy part doesn't hit the One Ring. So there's like, I guess like an internal logic there. Still odd, but there's one there. In that case, we'll just fell the Profane down the Valkyrie. Guess... Oop. Oh, pardon me, I didn't realize my phone wasn't on silent. Go ahead and get rid of, I guess, 1 Aghanim's Awakening for another copy of Pack Rat. And I guess we just try not to, like, overinvest too much in a board that they can just wipe away with a Silex. I wonder if they're gonna, like... Okay. I don't think they're gonna make use of the whole look for a walker part of that, but maybe they do, I don't know. Since we drew nothing, I guess we'll just do a Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and play a Rot Priest and just try and chip out damage that way. Keep getting rid of creatures, as white does have ways to return some creatures. What is, I think it's like Cleric class or whatever, the white one that sees plays. Ugh. Okay, we're gonna Assassin's Trophy that away immediately. That is very scary. They're gonna find the land, which is fine. And again, if they sweep the board, they do. What are you gonna do? Play the Nashi in the meantime. Maybe actually get some use out of Nashi's little ability to copy, in this case rats, but it can also be legendaries. I take a lot of damage here. Or then they can start taking a lot of damage from one ring. So odds are, usually you run more than one copy of a one ring here, so you don't have to, like, hurt yourself too much with burden counters. And if they do, they have a fog effect. It's like, you know, all the same reasons that you run the one ring in any format. Okay. But I only have 6 lands. Does it make me choose? Okay. Thank you for not making me choose, at least, game. There's that. And we're just going to keep on going with the Hive here. They're getting very low. We might, I mean, again, they have a lot of cards in hand. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some way out of it. But we've sort of put them on the clock now. They have to have a thing. Some kind of answer. Of course, they can always just play a Wandering Emperor and do the exile thing if they want to. It's not going to do it. That helps. Well, if I can't get rid of it that way, we can always Fel the Profane down the Valkyrie. Anything to just get rid of whatever life gain they can manage. I guess we can just play a Pack Rat with the rest of my mana. Not going to be able to do a whole lot with it, granted, but if we start getting flooded, we can turn all of the land drops into other copies of Pack Rat. They gotta find something, right? But again, we've done the good thing. We have to make them have the thing. I talk about it all the time, and I will continue to talk about it in both Magic and in Hearthstone. We're at a point where even if we lose in the game, when we lose the game, we've gotten to a point where we made our opponent have to have an answer, i.e., do the thing. If they don't have the thing, we win. If we do, they lose, but we were probably going to lose anyway if they had an answer already. Although, even with... Okay, I was wondering. There's no way they were just going to let that happen. What? Why would you not... What's a 1 minute... Okay, there are 1 mana answers in white that could mess me up. Okay. Attack. We good? Do we get it? Well done. And we'll take that, honestly. We can't super ask for much more than that. And yeah, I mean, it's a... Even though the deck might have its ups and downs, it's one of those, as a person who loves a tribal, or is it typal now, or I think Modern Horizon calls it like kindred, but I'm going to say tribal because I'm basically a Magic boomer, and I'm stuck in my ways. I love a good tribal deck, and rats are a really fun one. They play a little weird, and not weird in a bad way, just weird, like not in like an elf way, or a merfolk way, or even a goblin way, where it's like summon a large dude, buff, or summon a large board, buff the large board, and then go attack. It kind of does that, but it has interesting angles that only rats do, which is enough for me. It doesn't necessarily have to be the greatest deck in the world, and I don't think rats as a tribe or a type are gonna be like the next big hot thing that it's just gonna sweep the format. I just don't think it's there. but is it still fun and a unique build that if you also like tribal, typal style decks, aggressive decks, and you want to switch it up and play something new, do I think this deck will tickle your pickle, for lack of a better term? I think it will do that. And it's a lot of fun. And it's not like, when I say it's not a good deck, it's not a bad deck. Like, it works fine. You can do your daily quest and you get your daily wins and like have a good time with it. And it'll still get the job done. So yeah. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions, like I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, if you leave them down in the comment section below, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!